Welcome to Wawasan Wire. Today we're talking about a statement by Lawrence Liow. He's the deputy president of the Malaysian Chinese Association Selangor. And he's recently laid out a very clear direction for the party, thinking about the next general election. It's quite a blueprint, really. Tells us a lot about where they see themselves heading and maybe what they're willing and, importantly, not willing to do.
Absolutely. His remarks, they offer a really sharp insight, don't they, into the Malaysian Chinese Association's current political thinking, their strategy, their core non-negotiables. And what's particularly striking, I think, is his emphasis on their relationship with the Democratic Action Party.
Or perhaps the lack of a relationship.
Exactly, the non-relationship. And alongside that, their strong advocacy for the Chinese community, it really does set a definitive tone.
So, Lawrence Liow stated very firmly, didn't he, that the Malaysian Chinese Association Selangor will contest in the upcoming general election. No ambiguity there. But then came the really interesting part. He declared, and this is the sentiment, "We firmly reject cooperation with the Democratic Action Party. And at the same time, they will strive for greater autonomy."
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a powerful position to take. It signals a clear intention to, well, stand apart.
It does. And what's fascinating is precisely that emphasis on greater autonomy. For a party that's traditionally operated within larger coalitions, this isn't just about rejecting one specific party. It signals a deeper desire, I think, for the Malaysian Chinese Association to chart its own course, to be seen as an independent voice.
Right, a voice of its own.
Exactly. And Lawrence Liow explained this comes at what he called a critical turning point for the party. He linked it directly to widespread dissatisfaction he sees in the Chinese community, dissatisfaction regarding various policies they feel are unfair. So this suggests a need for a fresh approach, maybe an uncompromised one, to represent those interests. It's like reclaiming their own narrative.
Okay, so if they want this greater autonomy, this independent voice, they obviously need a solid strategy. How does Liow see them turning that ambition into, well, electoral reality?
Well, he did outline a plan. He started with what he termed a 3C strategy for the election. That's choice, credibility, coalition strategy.
Choice, credibility, coalition.
Okay. So it seems to be about strengthening alliances, but presumably with other parties, not the Democratic Action Party. Positioning the Malaysian Chinese Association as a perhaps new political choice for people.
Yeah.
And crucially, boosting their credibility. Winning back public support seems absolutely vital to this whole plan.
And there was more to it than just the 3Cs, wasn't there? Something about 3Ms.
That's right. He connected it to a bigger picture, introducing a complementary 3M strategy: mission, method, mobilization. The idea is to combine this with the 3C approach.
Mission, method, mobilization. So what does that actually involve?
Well, it sounds like building trust, proposing practical, workable solutions to problems, and really intensifying their outreach. He specifically mentioned using new media online platforms.
Aiming for younger voters, and maybe the middle ground.
Precisely. Those who might feel politically, unrepresented sometimes. It looks like a comprehensive push for relevance, trying to re-engage in a more modern way.
It sounds quite thought out, but I mean, making these strategies work on the ground. That's the challenge, right? Especially in such a fractured political landscape.
Definitely. It's one thing to announce a strategy, another to execute it. But it does sound like a deliberate plan, not a blind charge, as he apparently put it.
Right. He used that phrase.
Yes. And he emphasized that the actual decisions, which constituencies, who the candidates are, any alliances, how they plan to win, all that, would be based on practical stuff. Local conditions, candidate strengths, voter demographics in each area. Very localized.
So bottom-up decision-making to some extent.
It sounds like it. He insisted, we ourselves lead, judge, and decide. That theme of self-reliance, taking ownership, it's really consistent in his message. It suggests a shift maybe from being reactive to being proactive, which fits with wanting more autonomy.
What does that level of self-determination mean for how they might work in future coalitions, though? Coalitions usually involve compromise.
That's a key question, isn't it? It could signal they're moving away from just being a component party that follows the lead. They might be demanding a more central role in setting the agenda.
Which could make them a stronger partner in some ways.
Or maybe a more challenging one if other potential partners aren't willing to give them that space, that autonomy. It probably also implies some internal changes, empowering local branches more.
Okay, beyond these broad strategies, Lawrence Liow used a very specific, quite emotive example. The Selangor Chimen Chinese primary school land lease issue. Just for context, this school goes way back, 1935. Built through community donations, a real symbol of community effort.
built brick by brick, as they say.
Exactly. And now, apparently, it's facing pressure from the state government to pay over 6 million ringgit in land lease fees.
Hmm.
He asked quite pointedly, is this fair? Is it reasonable? It definitely hits a nerve.
It does. And it really raises that important question about the relationship between state governments and these community-funded institutions, especially culturally significant ones. Lawrence Lowe described it quite starkly, didn't he? Using land to feed the government was the phrase, I believe.
Yes, quite strong language.
Especially given it's a semi-aided school, it relies on its board, on public fundraising for expansion, maintenance, not government funds for that. So you can see the tension. Community efforts feeling burdened by state demands.
Did he offer any solutions?
Yeah.
Or just highlight the problem?
No, he did suggest two practical solutions, which shows that advocacy piece he mentioned. First, just charge a symbolic fee for extending the lease. Acknowledge its public service role.
A nominal sum.
Right. Second, if the school rents out its hall for income, okay, but make sure all that income is totally transparent, and it must go straight into the school's account, specifically for educational expenses only.
So practical advocacy, not just complaining, but offering clear alternatives, respecting community contribution, but also pushing for good governance.
Exactly. It demonstrates that desire to move beyond just talk, to offer tangible solutions.
In this school example, it also seems to tie back into what Lawrence Lowe described as the Malaysian Chinese Association's unwavering values. He seemed to be drawing a very clear line in the sand about their core identity, making it clear they won't be just a passive follower of other parties. What are these core values he's emphasizing so strongly now?
He used very powerful language, really defining their foundations. The sentiment was, for Chinese education, for the Chinese community, for the rights of all multicultural and moderate citizens, we will not give an inch.
Not give an inch. Very definitive.
Absolutely. He framed these not as bargaining chips, but as the fundamental value of the Malaysian Chinese Association's existence. So these are declared non-negotiables.
And these values, Chinese education, community welfare, moderate rights, they've always been part of their identity, haven't they? Historically.
They have. That was the basis for their formation, championing those interests within Malaysia's multi-ethnic setup. Though perhaps, at times, there's been a perception they might have compromised on them, for political expediency or coalition harmony.
And so reiterating them now is significant.
I think so. It signals a renewed commitment, a pledge to their base, perhaps, that they intend to stand firm. Even if that means a tougher political path, maybe even some isolation, it's an attempt to redefine their purpose in today's landscape, stating clearly what they believe their essential role is, aiming to rebuild trust.
So pulling it all together, Lawrence Lowe's statement really paints this picture of a Malaysian Chinese association trying to redefine itself, trying to be assertive, strategic, and very rooted in these core values and community advocacy.
It's certainly a bold move, presenting a renewed vision. It throws down a challenge, really, to both their traditional allies and their critics, forces everyone to take notice of where they stand.
It'll be fascinating to see if these strategies, these declarations, translate into actual political gains. Can they truly embody this independent, principled stance?
Or will the realities of coalition politics, eventually demand new compromises? That remains the big question, I suppose.
Thank you for joining us. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.